Without further ado, that is where we will be starting. So, let us begin our wonderful little rotations. And also, before we start this match, I would like to give a quick little shout out to those who are chit-chatting in the chat right now. Riffa, it is very nice to see you here. Yoshi Bowser, hello. And Raziel, what's up? What's up to you as well? Hopefully all three of you have a good time here today. And the Pokeyan also coming on in. Hello, it is great to see you once again. Always nice to have fellow members of the ARM scene coming on in regardless of where you are in the world. So hopefully you are all keeping relatively okay in these, what must be said, some trying times as of late. For those of you who are new to the scene, a reminder to you all of the rules here for the Challenge Cup. This is double elimination tournament, so if you lose here, you will be having yourself an extra life essentially. You only get one, so better make the most of it. Our matches will be best of threes with a 1-to-1 stage ban system, with the higher seed banning first. Those 5 starter stages that they ban from are as follows: DNA Labs, Buster Beach, Mausoleum, Temple Grounds, which we are going to right now, and Sparring Ring. And both of our combatants are set and ready to go. And I believe it's going to be Iceman on the left coming in as Min Min. Meanwhile, on the right hand side of your screen, we've got Inca coming in with our icy cool blue Helix. And our first matchup is underway as a result. And already Helix getting a little bit of a bump. And straight into the ram as well. Iceman rocking that Ice Dragon and the Shack Ramp. So going for the stun and grab combinations, and also utilizing the range of that dragon to keep Helix at bay no matter how high and how tall they end up being. And Iceman is just dominating in the early stages. Haven't conceded a point of damage yet, and another solid ram hit. Obviously with Min Min, the bigger that is, the harder it is to dodge. And that is going to be not only the first point, but that is a perfect right from the get-go. And, well, Iceman is always leaving signups until the very last second and very much turning the balance already of this tournament. It was initially going to be everybody versus Riffa, but now with Iceman in the mix, it's going to be an even bigger mountain to climb to try and book your ticket into top 3. And Iceman making very short work of this already. Another solid ram hit. Inca just cannot get any kind of purchase at all. Ren for the rush actually does get damage onto Iceman this time around, but already quite the deficit to come back from. And the ram again charged up at its full potential, especially on Min Min. It's just a force to be reckoned with. Inca trying to go for the bounce, but again sniped down by the Ice Dragon. He gets a bit of a flurry of their own and gets the grab as well. Sends Iceman down and actually brings them down to halfway, so slowly starting to build on in. These double buffs are absolutely helping them, just straight up boxing out. And as long as he can hit before the ramp does, arm forcibly broken and knocked down, and Inca's gonna get a bit of the rush, actually gets more of it as well, 165, and suddenly Iceman is on the back foot here, finally does get another snipe with the dragon and gets the ramp back up, but another wayward punch. They cannot afford to take one more of those. They're looking for literally anything, and they just about find it. The dragon able to swoop round on the outside, and Iceman very nearly conceded an equalizer, but does manage to win it 2-0 and takes the initiative in the early stages. Really good comeback there from Inca, but unfortunately just losing that last little touch. Would have been a great, wonderful resurgence from Inca, and again, very much showing signs of life, which is always what you like to see, but that first point was complete and utter domination on the side of Iceberg. Just did not give Inca a chance to get into a reasonable position, it must be said. But yeah, that second point, Inca saw what clearly wasn't working, went for the double big old gloves, and hey, it absolutely worked. That had Iceman on the back foot for the longest time there. Just that Rayward Dragon laser with the rush, it's always an exceptional one to try and avoid. And that's exactly what happened in the end. Inca just could not maintain that momentum. Helix not exactly known for being the most agile character. I mean, they are incredibly flexible, do not get me wrong. They can be as tiny as a puddle or as long as a tower. But against a character like Min Min, and especially at the hands of Iceman with that Ram and that Dragon, it kind of does make you a bit more of a target. And already it's going to be Iceman who starts with the initial blow to move into match number 2 on Mausoleum. Again, another Ram hit straight into the Dragon laser, and that's what Iceman loves to do. If they can hit with the Chakram in its shut up state, the Dragon is not too far behind to just apply that little bit more damage, and Inca now just trying to be a literal tower. Just extend all the way up and just continue to box out with the gloves, but now Iceman has them on the ropes, not going to give them the chance to do so. Juggles into the rush, not quite the KO, but a significant amount of damage, and the Ram will just slice through Helix once more to give Iceman 3 successful points in a row. One more will book their ticket into the semi-finals. It's as simple as that. As we begin our next matchup, Ink is actually going to switch out into a Tri-Blast to try and cover a little bit more space that Min Min is swinging on into, but to no avail at the moment, as once again the Ram gets all the way up to its buffed up state. Doesn't last there for long though, as Inca does get a successful rush exchange. Again, Iceman just fires on with the Dragon, catches them in midair, knocks them down, charges the Ram straight back up, and once again just juggles Inca, and the Dragon Rush deals so much damage that Inca just does not have an answer for it, and that is going to be 4 out of 4 for Iceman, and that is a very comfortable 2-0 for them, and that is them through into the winner's semi-finals. Yeah, didn't seem like anything else was going to happen from that result there. Iceman comfortably through into the next round. And with that being said, that might be the only round 1 match that has finished at this point in time. Yeah, none of the other matches have finished. That was how quick that set was. So Inca, again, like I said, that second point in the first match was incredibly close. But Iceman just did not look like they were going to give up any more points the second we went into Mausoleum. A good showing from Inca, but unfortunately they fall to the very experienced, very accomplished Iceman. Our other 2 round 1 matches are as follows: Raziel versus Yoshi Bowser and Yam versus Slacks. Slacks always bringing that chaotic goodness, so you have no idea what's going to happen between themselves and Yam. The winner of that match will take on Iceman, who awaits them in the semi-final. Meanwhile, Riffa, the revolutionary Riffa, awaits the winner of Raziel and Yoshi Bowser, which is a very interesting prospect if you think about this, because last time out, Raziel did get the better of Riffa and actually booked their ticket into the grand finals for the first time ever. Of course that had to be the event that I missed, because you know how excited I get for first times of anything, and to give you a better idea of the general scope of this entire thing, we've had 75 cups now. This is the 75th edition of the EU Arms Challenge Cup. Out of those 75 cups, 28 players have been registered as top 3 finishers. Out of those 28, 20 of them have made it to the grand final. Raziel, from last time out, became that 20th person. That is how big that actually ended up being. And could you imagine the scenes had Alistair finally made it to the winner's rostrum, making themselves the 11th winner, only to then lose to the 12th and brand new winner in the form of Raziel last time out. That didn't happen. Alistair did successfully defend the title, which again is quite the rare thing if you think about it. Not many people have actually successfully defended titles back to back, so Alistair does have that record to their name. So Raziel knows that they can make it to grand final now, and now they have to prove that they can beat Riffa once again, because we have confirmation that it will be Raziel to take on Riffa in the next matchup. Our first of the two semi-finals are all set and ready to go. It will be the revolutionary Riffa to take on Raziel. Well, the stats do not lie. When we come into these kind of things, we know full well the seriousness of the whole thing here. The winner of this matchup books their ticket into top 3. They book their tickets into winners final. It's as simple as that. And like I said, last time out, think about how this went. Raziel was able to beat Riffa in underground final. If they can do so again, it would be just as big, if not bigger. Riffa on the left-hand side of your screen coming in as a Maximum Brass. Meanwhile, Raziel on the right-hand side of your screen coming in as a Kid Cobra, or as Maliv likes to call him, Kid Hot Cobra. Don't tell them I said that one. And it's going to be Raziel coming in with that Blob and the Tri-Blast, already jumping straight over Riffa and getting themselves another successful hit in. Riffa going to try and bolt all the way up. Does get a hit in, but immediately gets their screen completely darkened up by that big old Blob, which is always an interesting arm to try and fight off against. It's such a bouncy little thing, and also the grabs are also just as unpredictable as a result. Arm is broken thanks to the ongoing pressure from Riffa coming in with that Roaster and the Nade. Both of those arms are unguided, so it's all manual aim. No guidance system whatsoever, and Raziel just keeps chipping away at health here with the Tri-Blast, and if they can get a successful rush exchange here, they can absolutely force initiative. Riffa got the explosion, but could not get the rush capitalization, and this gives Raziel a chance to maybe find an opening here and get anything out of this. It is going to be a big old bulk up for Riffa, but it's going to be chip damage. Oh! I was going to say nothing more, but the shield is broken, and Raziel does enough damage from that to take the point. So Riffa cannot get anything from that. And it will be Raziel who starts with the initiative, but can they follow on up with the rest of that? Remember, Cobra is such a slippery and slidey customer, able to just slide in and out at a will's notice, but so far, Riffa is able to get a bit of damage on them, and again, another successful roaster hit, bringing in that ram as a result to try and block off that, block off that agility and catch them on the back foot, but grabs like that are going to give Raziel more of an incentive, more of an initiative to keep poking on in with this Bolt and Blob combination. Riffa struggling here to actually get any kind of shenanigans on there. The arm is broken, but Raziel cannot take advantage of that. Chooses not to go for the rush either, and as a result, Riffa lifts the fight another day, gets the knockdown with the roaster, immediately chooses to close on up, but realizes that's not going to happen, and actually rushes through the Blob, 305 damage, and puts themselves in the driver's seat, at least in terms of health lead. Although Raziel has been chipping away at that throughout most of the match. Another successful screen, and that surely will be a KO. It is a KO! And Raziel is proving it's not a one-hit wonder. They have taken another point here against Riffa and leads the semi-final by 1-0. Raziel has only been in the top 3 twice. One was a 3rd place, their very first time in the top 3, which was the 58th Cup. Their first time as a runner-up was literally the last Cup. They want to go one step better. They want to book their ticket into top 3 straight away. But to do that, it's now going to be a Cobra Ditto. It's going to be Riffa coming in with the popper and the clap back. Meanwhile, Raziel comes in with what they had last time round, the Bolt on the explosive side of the field and the bounty Blob, and so far Riffa is just using the popper clapback combination to really catch Raziel off guard. The popper is one of the lighter arms in the game, but also one of the quickest as a result, and the clapback, well, it lives up to its name. It literally just sends your respective arm straight back at you, which is why Raziel has to be incredibly careful that they don't get caught out with not just their own horizontal bolt, but also their own Blob which would absolutely give Riff the edge, and so far it's doing exactly that. Anytime Raziel throws anything out, the clapback is just hindering them, and the popper is always just firing on in, uncontested. Yes, it can be punched through by anything, but like I said, it's one of the quicker arms in the game, and so far Raziel has taken so much damage from it already. With a massive health lead, and Raziel just waiting for an opportunity to try and find a way through this. Remember, if they can get a good bounce, it can indeed just go straight through the straight over the clapback, but not like that, and I'm afraid that is going to be, well, almost chip damage, but Riffa tried to get away with it, knowing the fact that their arm was very near broken, and as a result, has to take 280 damage, forces Raziel into critical. Riffa does have the rush advantage if they need to utilize it, because so far Raziel they're both literally just playing ring around the roses here, and Riffa realizes the grab was coming, went for the rush to make sure it did not connect, and gets themselves a point. We generally try to not get too much hype when Riffa starts going on down in sets, because Riffa always finds a way of bringing it back, and Raziel has decided to go for 2 of the blobs. So, okay, an interesting decision to switch out the Tri-Blast for double blobs, but hey, the grab went through anyway. It's an awkward thing to deal with when both arms are being so incredibly unpredictable. And again, another wild on bounce almost caught Riffa, and actually another quick little splash of ink is going to just rob Riffa's vision once more. It's going to be very difficult to try and land a rush in this kind of situation as well. You've got nothing to really lead with. You're just going to have to hope the first blob hits and then juggle on from there. Meanwhile, Riffa does have the popper and the clapback, but is still taking random odd points of damage from both of these blobby bouncy buddies. And Riffa is going to juggle on up, get the KO from here, surely. No, not quite. 240 damage. They need just one more poke from pretty much anything, and we know how quickly that popper can rinse through. And Raziel's going to have to be very careful, but it's not going to happen. And Riffa is going to tie this set up 1 apiece once again, proving why he is a 25-time winner, determined to not relinquish that top 3 spot. And it should be worth pointing out here that Riffa's pretty much got all of the streak records intact. Like, they've got 7 wins in a row, highest than anybody, 8 finals in a row, higher than anybody, 10 top 3s in a row, higher than anybody. And if they beat Raziel here, they tie that streak. They once again make it to 10. The only person to have not only do that once, but do it twice would just be absolutely ludicrous. But Raziel knows a 3rd top 3 appearance when it was so far between their previous one and their latest one. They want to do everything they can to dethrone Riffa in the same way that Alistair has been doing as of late. And unfortunately, that clapback popper combination is once again continuing to give Raziel a lot of trouble as they bring in the Burchuck now. If they can land in with the ice, it will rob Kid Cobra of their abilities and leave Riffa as a sitting duck. But again, another successful grab from Riffa, and again another catch with the popper. And now it's Riffa's turn to do what Iceman did in the first matchup and try and not take any point of damage, and almost not doing so. They wanted to get this perfect. They are going to get this perfect. God heckin' damn it! And so, Riffa puts themselves on set point. And Raziel, again, straight on the back foot, is going to switch out that Burchuck for the Boomerang. Try and find a way to curve around that shield. We've seen it happen time and time again with that, but they're back very much against the wall here. Riffa in complete control. Again, another successful knockdown. And you notice how they immediately fling out that popper, trying to catch Raziel as they are recovering straight back up. It's right, you see Raziel having to try and just jump and dash to whichever side and hope and pray. And it's not the side the popper has chosen to go in. Another quick hit from that popper is going to put Raziel pretty much at the halfway mark, both with rush set and ready to go. But we know full well the Riffa will not deploy it unless the popper can hit, or just jump in with that anyway. Raziel fully commits out and finds themselves in critical already. And this is looking like it could be Riffa's set to once again win. With 40 seconds left on the clock, Raziel has to go for the rush, does catch Riffa, but cannot juggle them up for any more than that. It's just 160 damage. And that, for Riffa, is nothing in the grand scheme of things. 30 seconds left to go. They're going to play aggressive here. Just try and finish this up as quickly as possible, knowing full well that it's Raziel who has to do all of the hard work at this stage. It's such a massive deficit to claw back down, but another successful boomerang hit is going to find its mark. The clapback bounces back that blorp. And Raziel, with 10 seconds left on the clock, gets another quick little tickle and another successful hit. They have to land something big here if they want to be able to take this matchup. 3 seconds on the clock. Riffa is going to make sure they don't do so. And that will be a KO. And that is why we don't get excited when Riffa goes down, because he always comes back. And for the 10th cup in a row, Riffa ties the 10 top 3 streak that he had already. And he is back in the winners' final. By 2 points to 1. Honestly, nothing else that needs to be said about. Riffa is a 25-time winner, 16 times a runner-up, and 9 times in 3rd place. You do the maths. He is generally always in the top 3. And here he is once again. So Riffa will play the winner of our second semi-final matchup, which will be between Yam and Iceman. As Yam was able to defeat Slacks by 2 points to 0. All of our round 1 matches went 2 points to 0 in the end. So it will be incredibly interesting to see if our second semi-final match will also be another 2-1, as it was last time out. If you can see on, well, you won't be able to see it, but exclamation bracket if you want to follow along at home. We didn't make it to 8 players, unfortunately, which is why the bracket isn't on the screen right now. But Riffa versus Raziel was a 2 points to 1 affair, so we'll see if Yam versus Iceman will go the same way, or if it will be a 2-0 to either of our individuals. Meanwhile, in the underground bracket, Slacks will take on Inca. The winner of that match will take on Raziel in the underground round 2 matchup. Meanwhile, Yoshi will face the loser of this match, which is Yam versus Iceman, which is coming on up for you right now. So who is ready for some very intense shenanigans here? Now, bearing in mind that Riffa and Iceman between them have 38 wins between the pair of them. Yam, meanwhile, has finished 3rd 6 times and been runner-up twice. They have not made it to a grand final since the 39th installment of this competition. Their 3rd place was recent. It was the 73rd Cup, so it wasn't the last Cup, it was the Cup before that. But in terms of a grand final appearance, it's been a very long time for Yam. Can they bring their A-game? Can they take on Iceman? Well, normally when it comes to underdog performances, we've seen it previously. Raziel was able to beat Riffa as Kid Cobra, but Riffa came out with a Kid Cobra of their own and completely derailed that momentum. Yam, we always generally see them come out with Min Min. Iceman coming in with Min Min here as well. Will it prove to be the same thing? Will Iceman prove that that consistency is just a bit too much for Yam? Or can Yam cause a little bit of a shock of their own and take out the 13-time former winner? Well, so far it's quite even between them, but that sparky hit is going to find its connection and immediately take Yam out of contention in the early stages. That Phoenix and the Parasol, always a nice combination to have, just to have that big old bird in that big old hitbox state. But so far, Iceman has been consistent with the Sparky, landing that shock hit, paralyzing Yam and just finishing them up with grab after grab after grab. And with that, that will be the first point on their side of the scene. And it's going to be Yam who tries to get that first punch in as the match resumes for the second point. But not going to get it just yet as the tubes start to fly on down here at DNA Lab. One of the more open stages of this entire starter stage selection. But it will be Yam who gets the better of the rush exchange this time around. 370, make sure the roaster is up to its full potential, trying to outbox that Sparky by any means necessary. And also using the parasol to really deflect the dragon, and so far it is working. Iceman down past the halfway mark, nearing that critical section. And Yam has barely taken a scratch in this matchup, finally showing that they can bring that momentum and turn it on its head. As we approach 50 seconds left on the clock, again, the gloves are just basically outboxing each other. Notice the fact that both Minions have that on full display, but it's going to be Iceman who gets the Sparky Punch into the grab. Yam goes all the way to the corner, but they're not going to have a chance to charge it back up, or are they? Iceman did not see that roaster coming, immediately talked on down. The Ice Dragon will rob Yam of all of their abilities, but again, gets the successful knockdown, gets a long-ranged poke with the roaster, and just like that, Yam is going to tie this up by 1 apiece. What will now be the action from both? Well, Yam is going to bring in that Phoenix again, try to keep Iceman guessing as to what they're going to go in. Actually kind of preempted the fact that Iceman would switch out the dragon, which they have done, into a Chakram now, and pops that on the... they're always balancing each other out here. Notice the fact that Yam went for the roaster on the main dragon arm when Iceman was doing well with the Sparky. Now they both switched to their curved arm utility, also being on their dragon arm, but unfortunately it's going to be Iceman who gets the better of the exchange this time around. A lot of damage onto Yam's side of the field, and another successful stun via the Chakram, make that 2 in a row. Yam drops into critical. Iceman has a massive health lead here, gets poked by the parasol, but they'll not be too bothered about that in the slightest. Another stun into a quick Sparky hit, and Iceman will take the lead in this set by 1 point to 0. And so, Iceman already books themselves the first point in this set. Only one more victory is all they need to be able to book their ticket into the top 3 yet again. Back to DNA Labs, we go back to the same fighter for both of our respective players. So we had 2 Kid Cobra Dittos in a row. Now we have 2 Min Min Dittos in a row. It's going to be the Phoenix and Parasol versus the Sparky and the Ice Dragon going into point number 1 of match 2. And I love the fact that essentially a Min Min truce there. They both charged up at the same time. They both hit each other with their respective arms. And as a result, both immediately charged their respective Dragon Arm back straight into the thick of things. And Yam has to find a way of being able to keep Iceman at bay. Another successful parasol hit is going to do exactly that. And actually the Phoenix swoops around before the dragon can fire out the laser. And that's exactly what Yam is looking for. As long as the Sparky cannot hit and the dragon gets disarmed before Iceman can do anything with it, Yam can continue to ride his momentum. And again, the Phoenix just flies straight overhead into the path of Iceman, who has nothing to block it. Arm weak on the left hand side, and already past the halfway mark. Another bit of spice for your meat, and that is going to be into critical already. Yam goes for the rush, not going to get anything with that one. Chip damage and nothing more. Catches Iceman trying to go on the retreat, but it's going to be Yam with a massive health lead. They're just looking for one more poke from pretty much anything will give them the KO that they're looking for. And also, the longer this session goes on for now, the more Yam charges up. So Iceman actually has to be a little careful here. Finally does get KO'd. And it gives Yam the chance to come right back at them. But Iceman knows full well they have rush advantage. Switching out that dragon into the Chakram. Sparky back on the right hand side of the field as a result. Meanwhile, Yam comes in with the roaster. charged up and ready to go, although not quite perma-charged at this point. Iceman going to put on a lot of pressure, but finally gets chopped down by a quick little 1-2 punch from Yam. Gives themselves enough time to get the charge up. Iceman did get the Chakram stun hit, but wasn't able to take advantage of it. Now they will. The rush exchange gives themselves 305 damage, a chance to keep their Chakram perma-charged up. And yeah, well, they do have rush available, and they're not too far away from that health deficit, so it's still anyone's game at this stage. And again, another tube gonna rinse on down. Iceman got no cover for the time being. There's 2 more tubes left, and you see them immediately down straight on by to it, knowing full well that the Chakram can curve around. That's exactly what you want to utilize the stage for with these kind of arms. That's why you pick them. And again, catching Yam as they try to dodge around the outside. The tube finally goes down, and again, you see Iceman immediately gravitate towards the last tube that's up. Finally, they do give themselves a little bit of a breathing space. They do have the health lead after all. Just under 30 seconds left on the clock. Yam has it all to do if they want to try and find a way back at them. A wayward roaster hit is going to pop Iceman down, who desperately tries to get that Chakram charge straight back up, and you see Yam just immediately boxing it on down every single time. Another successful roaster hit, and this is going to be dangerous, but it's okay. Iceman knows full well they had the rush. They had to utilize it, otherwise Yam had the chance to come straight on by, and that is going to be 1 apiece. But crucially for Iceman, it's set point. Both immediately double on back to charge up their main arm. For Iceman, that's the Chakram. For Yam, that is the roaster. Parasol on standby as well, and that is going to be almost a punish from Iceman, but not quite this time around. 265 damage. It at least gives Yam the lead, but can they maintain that? And obviously 1 tube left up for them. They have to be incredibly careful, but another quick roaster hit is going to just drive straight through Iceman. Only the 1 tube left for Iceman to hide behind, and Yam is doing everything they can to keep this matchup in their own part of the field. Well, slightly weak on the right hand side for Iceman, but it quickly drifts away as Yam maintains that health gap for the time being, and in fact will almost have the rush ready to go. Gets caught with the chill by the Ice Dragon. Iceman cannot punish it this time round as Yam just baits it out, plays the patient game, and now both have a rush set and ready to go. And as long as Yam can at least get anything out of their rush, they will, in theory, keep the health lead, although the Ice Dragon does cause a lot of damage at its rush capacity. You have to be so careful with it, and Iceman has Yam pinned in the corner. Another quick 1-2 exchange, and that now goes back somewhat into Iceman's advantage. 20 seconds left on the clock. The Chakram doesn't quite hit. Here comes the rush, but it's going to be chip damage and nothing more. And Yam immediately retaliates with a roaster. Any kind of confirmation would do it for them, but oh, they get a little tag with the roaster, but that is all they get. But I think it's enough for the health lead, and Iceman knows this. They want to go for this, but they're not going to get it. The roaster is going to full on hit, and that will be that. Yam will take this point, and that is 1 apiece between these two for the second semi-final in a row. We go in a match 3. Incredibly close between these two individuals. There is no telling which way this is going to slide because they are so evenly matched. They're trying to second guess each other by going for different arm rotations, and even when one favors the other, it's still incredibly close. That is how consistent, how experienced these two individuals are. Both want a chance to guarantee themselves a top 3 position. Both have their own agendas to uncover here, and Ninja College is going to be our first counterpick stage of the day. We haven't really talked about the counterpick stages. There are 2 on this list. There is Ninja College and there is Via Dulce. And it's going to be Iceman who takes us over to Ninja College and switches to Ribbon Girl in the midst of all of this. So can Yam manage to take the win against a very agile Ribbon Girl who probably will actually be quite at home on a very vertical heavy stage like Ninja College, but does get caught by the windiest of the slaps. Also, Yam coming in with that big old buff as well, so a non-elemental punching glove again, very much designed to try and just poke against that toaster, and so far keeping Ribbon Girl grounded, which is exactly what you want to do, and keeping that high ground advantage as well. We know that Ribbon Girl can just boost around and just double jump for days if she really wants to. And Iceman is just getting completely pinned by this slam. Yam is not giving them a chance to even get going, and that is absolutely incredible to see. I think forced the self-destruct as well on the Tri-Blast. Risk equals reward. Yam finally does get poked on down by the Toaster. Again, look at that health deficit. Yam is finally starting to get clawed back here and now pinned into the corner by Iceman, who now will not yield up that advantage. And slowly again caught off guard by their own Tri-Blast, and another successful hit. The rush didn't connect. Are you kidding me? No, the rush didn't connect. Somehow Iceman managed to miss every single bit of it and nails their rush in response, and now they are neck and neck. Iceman with a slight health advantage going in to 10 seconds left on the clock, and Yam needs another last second hit, much like how they did last time around, to guarantee themselves the victory, and they find it! They absolutely find it! They could just retreat now and they'll just hold the ground, and thank goodness. How close do you want this to be? Yam somehow manages to get the last hit and get the point they were looking for. Immediately doubles on back, will bring in the buff, and actually brings in the Ice Dragon against Iceman. That's a very weird decision to go for, and we'll see if it pays off for them. Well, Iceman knows full well how the dragon is utilized. They use it pretty much most of their matches when they come in with Min, so this is going to be an interesting decision here from Yam. And they're being pinned once again into that corner. Iceman playing an incredibly aggressive game. This time it's their turn to not get anything with that rush. And now Yam goes for it. But again, Iceman just coasts comfortably away from them. And Iceman does appear to be in much better control of this situation than Yam. They just cannot get this dragon to work at all. Iceman just keeps them pinned down into the corner. There's nothing that Yam can do about this situation. Managed to get another quick little punch in with the glove, but again, it's just the dragon. I've just never seen Yam really use the dragon before, and it did not work for them at all. And as a result, it ties this match up. One apiece in the set, one apiece in the match. And Yam goes back to that Windy Slam. Immediately gets a self-destruct on the Tri-Blast. And here we go again. Iceman with the rush advantage and the high ground as well. Hits in with the Tri-Blast, immediately starts to come on in, trying to get this 1-2 chained up, and Yam knows full well they're going to have to be incredibly comfortable. Again, another quick little self-destruct, dishing out a little bit more damage onto Iceman. Surprised that Iceman didn't choose to go for the rush there. Gets caught with the Windy Slam. Drops straight back on down onto the steps, and Yam is playing this incredibly patient here. Finally gets pipped by the blast, but manages to rotate back and can retain the high ground advantage. Iceman will try and draw themselves level and quickly rotate back the way they came. And caught by the wayward buff. The Windy Slam back up to its full charge potential and whips on Iceman into the air. Yam knows full well they have to be incredibly careful. Goes for the rush, and somehow they missed it as well. Another unsuccessful rush from Yam as Iceman again catches them on the back foot. Hits the follow-up Tri-Blast, and that puts Yam on the cusp of critical. Iceman with the health advantage with 30 seconds left to go, and unfortunately that was a direct toaster that was never going to miss from there. Yam is getting incredibly desperate here, unfortunately caught by another toaster. 17 seconds on the clock. Iceman has the health lead, and they have the KO, and it will be the two former winners who will lock out the winners final. Yam will not best Iceman, and it is Iceman into winners final to take on Riffer. 18 cup wins between them. And that is why they are consistently up there in that top 3 predicament. It will be the Revolutionary Riffer once again at it to take on the Ice Cool Iceman as we get ourselves for our first best of 5 of the day. And well, between these two, well, who knows? Who knows which player will rise to the occasion this time round? But given recent track records as it stands, I mean, Iceman's last appearance in a top 3 was the 66th Cup, so it has been a while for Iceman. Meanwhile, Riffer, well, I mean, do we have to read the stats for Riffer over and over and over again? Last time they won, 72nd Cup. Last time they were second, 73rd Cup. Last time they were in the top 3, 74th Cup. Yeah, recency bias tells you that Riffer will walk out of this set as the winner, but who the heck knows, especially when Riffer is playing all manner of different characters today. You just never know which way it will go. And Riffer comes in as Twintel on the left-hand side of your screen, coming in with the Chiller and the Thunderbird. Meanwhile, Iceman rocking in with the Sparky and the Ice Dragon. Immediately charges that straight on up and catches Riffer on the back foot. Actress Aura will be on play for Twintel, able to slow down the arms that come towards her and gives her that little bit of hang time as well if she does it in the air. But so far, it's going to be Iceman who dominates the early stages of this, piercing through with another Ice Dragon. Denied the grab by the pillar though, so nothing that they could do from that. As Temple Grounds once again, just that bit more of a smaller but just as wide map as DNA Labs, especially with those 4 pillars. And again, another chill for Twintel, and again gets the grab as well. It's taken Riffer a bit to get used to how Twintel plays, especially against Min Min, but crucially, they're finding their footing now, and slowly they're bringing Iceman back into contention, both with rush set and ready to be deployed as well. And they're just waiting, just to bait each other out, knowing full well that they have the facilities to be able to just duck out of the way and come in with a counter rush all of their own. Riffer on the cusp of critical, goes for it, senses an opportunity, 255. It knocks Iceman into critical, takes the remaining pillar away as well. And with 10 seconds left on the clock, it is going to be the Sparky that does connect, and Iceman now suddenly with the health lead, trying to just keep Riffer at bay, and nearly gets caught out as a result of it. And the shock right at the death gets a literal last second KO and denies Riffer of a point at the very end. And so into point number 2 we go. Iceman continuing to rock the Sparky, and the Ice Dragon also has rush advantage going into this. Didn't need to utilize it, but does get caught by the Tri-Bolt that Twintel is bringing on into this, which can indeed set up these 1-2 grab combinations. And again, so can the Thunderbird. Plenty of opportunities to Riffer to go for the grab, try to go for the juggle off the Thunderbird, but does not get it. But also look at how far down the pecking order Iceman already is. Into critical, another successful shot from the Thunderbird. And the Sparky charges on up as well. There's so much going on at this stage of the game. Iceman gets caught with another stun, a little too close for comfort, gets caught by the grab, and Riffer quickly reverses that right back into their favor. The final round of our first match cometh, and it will be the same as it was for Iceman. That Sparky and the Ice Dragon remain. And they do get the freeze into a grab, which is always nice to see. Has the rush advantage if they wish to utilize it. Riffer, meanwhile, the Chiller and the Tri-Bolt. Switching things up a little bit from the previous one. Want to try and box around that glove that little bit more. They're trying to keep Iceman on their toes as a result. Goes for the rush, does not get it. Iceman, meanwhile, gets all of theirs, 325. He puts them on course. Well, I was about to say for a perfect, but no more for that one. A stun into a grab combination and a wake up grab as well. Unfortunate for Iceman to just walk straight into that, and another successful double hit from Riffa. And no sooner had Iceman gained the lead with that rush, immediately dropped half of their health. But they do have Riffa in critical, 40 seconds left on the clock. And this is still Iceman to maybe walk away with, but Riffa is not afraid to get incredibly up close and aggressive. Gets another pick with the tri-bolt, and actually nobody has rush set and ready to go of their own. Iceman has it too, and actually is going to go for it. Gets every bit of it they need, and it will be Iceman who takes the initiative in this set, winning the first point of the winners final by 2-1. They lead by 1-0. Iceman taking the first point of this set, but again, I say it means everything. Sometimes it can mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, especially when it's against Riffa. You just never know what Riffa will immediately slap back with you. They will stick with the twin tail as we head on over to Augusta Beach now. And Min Min are also going to switch up their loadout as well. The Ice Dragon is still there, but instead, we now got a Siki and that Toaster, and it's going to be the Toaster and Siki that is going to come out for Iceman in this confrontation. It immediately tries to go on in with it, just like the Ice Dragon. It does a lot of damage in its rush state, except it is, goodness me, it's on a completely different ballpark. The Siki is a fully automated guidance system, so it just immediately locks on to the target and goes with it. So it can be easy to avoid, but in its rush state, the damage that it does, especially if you juggle twice, is just unreal. It can go up to 500 and it is just devastating. So Riffa knows full well to be very mindful of it. Get themselves another wake up grab to give themselves that health lead. Iceman already down into the halfway mark. Cannot get anything with the rush. And that is 300 tasty damage for Riffa. Tries to get the wake up grab. Not going to happen this time around. The Siki catches the explosion. And never underestimate the AoE range of that missile. As Riffa takes that one straight to the chest. And that's what Iceman will be somewhat relying on here again. Catches Riffa on the back foot. Another successful Siki hit. And note immediately that Riffa just held up the shield and just waited for the rest of it to explode. Have to be careful of as well the time that it takes for that entire explosion to actually dissipate. It can catch a lot of people out if you're not prepared for it, and that is going to be a rush coming in from Iceman, but chip damage and nothing more than that, and a nice wonderful counter grab from Riffa means that the point is theirs for the taking, as is the rush advantage for the next one. So as they bop on down and get ourselves ready for the next point, Riffa immediately starts on the charge, coming in with not one but two chillers, but immediately getting a face full of Toaster on both occasions. Iceman was prepared for the rush, and that is going to be chip damage and nothing more than that, as another successful chiller finds its way through. Iceman determined to try and get anything out of this matchup, and actually weakens the arm on the right hand side, and this entire exchange with the Toaster and the Ice Dragon is definitely more in their comfort zone for Iceman. But again, one of those chillers managed to find a way through, tried to play the patient baity game against Riffa, but Riffa naturally not having any of it. But that is going to be a grab no matter how much you slow that down, Twin Tail. Just a little too close for comfort. There's being close so that Iceman can't properly utilize the dragon, and then there's too close for the grab to actually be an unfortunate threat for you. And there's going to be Twin Tail, who is shot through the heart. Down they go. And just like that, the equalizer for Iceman, both with rush set and ready to go. Tri-Bolt and Thunderbird is now the option for Riffa to try and counter this Ice Dragon. And so far so good for Riffa. Another successful Thunderbird hit. The Ice Dragon again gets themselves on there and gives Iceman the chance to charge up that Toaster for free. They're not going to be able to utilize it as they are knocked straight down in mid-air. And Riffa trying to keep Iceman in that hot pocket. Not going to happen this time around. In fact, Iceman gets the rush of their own going as well. Big old damage, that 360 ticks Riffa down into the halfway mark, but they'll come back with a rush of their own. 315 sends Iceman just that little bit further. And as a result, Riffa with that health lead yet again, but anything can still happen. The Ice Dragon does find its mark, and so too does the grab. Iceman with the Toaster charged up and ready to go, determined to take as many points away from Riffa in the early stages as possible. Pile on that pressure to the Revolutionary Riffa, but unfortunately falling foul to another Tri-Bolt hit. Iceman does have the rush available and ready to use. They know they only need one more point of damage, but they fall foul to not one, but two charged up Tri-Bolt hits. And that is going to give Riffa the equalizer in the early stages, one apiece in winners final. Riffa determined to continue being the force to be reckoned with in the EU Arms Challenge Cup scene, but Iceman determined to reclaim what was theirs from such a long time ago. It has been a while since Iceman was able to step in to the grand final, let alone win. And they are absolutely taking the fight to Riffa at this stage. And Riffa, not only are we going to Mausoleum, but we are going to see a change of pace. Iceman will stick with Min Min, but Riffa, having gotten the win with Twin Tail, now switches on back to the Kid Cobra. The Cobra that won them the match against Raziel earlier to seal their ticket into the top three. And the Popper and Clapback come straight up against the Chakram and the Ice Dragon, and notice the fact that Iceman, not messing around, immediately comes in with the ramp. The Clapback is just going to bounce off the left-hand side of Iceman as they all just continue to wail on off of that shield. And Riffa again trying to jump on in, but Iceman's not going to let them. That big old hitbox for the Chakram just denied Riffa every time they tried to jump in, but Clapback finds its mark as they both literally trade blows. It's going to be the Ice Dragon that knocks Riffa down. Another successful 1-2 chain with that Popper, and the Clapback jumps over the shield completely though, and that is 340 damage. Riffa not sitting comfortable with the Kid Cobra in this position. Riffa, well, has an answer for everything that Riffa was throwing at the table. Stuck in the center, pierced by another Dragon Laser. That is going to give Iceman all the incentive that they need to keep on swinging like this. They are playing this beautifully. It's such a strategic dance between the two, and the trampoline makes its first appearance of the day here on Mausoleum. And Riffa won't mind that in the slightest. They will absolutely slip and slide alongside that for as long as they want to. Caught by the Chakram though, and Iceman will be alert for it. Again, you just see that so much range that Iceman now has to play with. And we know that the Ram and the Ice Dragon combined are beautiful from their range perspective. And again, the Popper is still a very quick arm to be deployed, so Iceman needs to be able to make sure they have an answer for it. Riffa knowing full well if they could just find a couple more hits like this, they will likely go in and get themselves a big time rush damage. And you just know it. Again, another clip from the Chakram, and Riffa just kind of sits on the trampoline. It's just how Kid Cobra is. Why just a little bit differently than most characters. Tries to go for the rush, does Iceman, and gets every bit of it. 320 damage, and the arm weak on the left hand side, broken and destroyed. And Iceman with a 2-1 lead in winners final. Well, Riffa does not want to change anything from this. We're going straight back to Mausoleum, so it looks like the Riffa is determined to get wins with characters that they generally don't really do any kind of matches with. We saw them do Kid Cobra earlier, but they are determined to try and get this to work against Iceman's Min Min. And Iceman knowing full well if they could just do exactly what they did in the previous match, they will book their ticket into Grand Finals. And again, another successful stun into the grab sends Riffer halfway across the arena and gives Iceman their health lead in the early stages. And well, Riffer already weak on the right hand side, very close to breaking, doing a severe amount of dodging. And so far, our slippy, slidey Cobra customer is doing their business. Iceman is starting to struggle to hit them. Finally, the dragon does find its mark, and again, so much chip damage being deployed. Riffer's arm again weak on that right hand side, and that is going to be big time rush damage. 320. Iceman is in complete control here. They are determined to reclaim that throne of theirs, but now it's their turn to deal the damage. 275 against them. It's a very awkward juggle from Riffer there, but hey, they got the damage where it mattered, and they are slowly bringing this health deficit back into their contention. In fact, I think they are practically even here. Iceman's arm weak on the right hand side, but crucially finds the Ice Dragon hit, and that might just be enough, but there's still 25 seconds on this clock, and Riffer is determined to just fling in another popper here and there. Iceman does have the rush. They can use it if push comes to shove. Riffer is just biding their time, waiting this out. In fact, Iceman will go for it. Chip damage, nothing more than that, but it means that Riffer has to go for the KO if they want to win this, and Iceman just has to shield it. They know full well nothing else will come with it, and Riffer concedes the point. Set point then for Iceman, with Riffer having the rush advantage as we go into a very crucial point number 2 in match number 4, and the trampoline once again is out. Courtesy of Riffer hitting the deck once more as the rush comes in too. 315. It is exactly what Riffer was banking on, having that rush advantage at the start. And now it's going to be a case of, can they keep this damage going? Iceman already underneath the halfway mark, and Riffer just continues to just bounce with the trampoline, fling with the popper, and Iceman is into critical already. Iceman will start the next point with rush advantage if it gets that far. And Riffer won't be too far behind them, so this is going to be incredibly close as the clapback finds its mark once more. So too does another popper. That is how incredibly difficult it is to avoid that thing. And Riffer is indeed going to equalize this and maybe still have a chance to take this to match 5. Iceman losing control of this matchup. The Ram and the Ice Dragon is still intact. But Riffer is slowly finding their way around this, slowly making this combination work. Both with rush to start this match off with, and again another successful charged up popper hit. Both are going to go for it. The clapback doesn't land. The clapback does not hit Iceman, and it's going to be Iceman who starts the better of the two. Rush does connect, and Riffer will have to do all of that damage the hard way. Arm weak on the left hand side. Another successful tag with the popper, but it's not enough to charge up or send them into the air. And Iceman continues to keep that range. Again, the Chakram just swings right around the clapback, and Riffer has it all to do here. Finally needs to get themselves back onto the ground, as Iceman does have rush set and ready to go. Went for the grab, but caught by the popper, and Riffer's playing a very dangerous game here, and that might be a KO. It won't be a KO. 320 damage. Riffer immediately goes for it, and Iceman gets completely away from it. 30 seconds on the clock. Iceman cannot take another point of damage, and they do. Iceman will book their ticket into the grand final for the first time since the 62nd Cup. And that is what you like to see. Riffer will drop down into the underground final for another tournament in a row. And crucially then, it is Iceman into grand finals. An incredible showing from both of our respective players, but it will be Iceman who gets the better of Riffer this time around, and Riffer will have it all to do as they have to fight back on through the underground finalists. They'll guarantee the top 3 position, but can they make it into the grand finals again, or will they actually miss out on 2 tournaments in a row? Well, that remains to be seen as we get confirmation of our underground bracket. Inca was able to take out Slacks by 2-0. Then they lost to Raziel by 2-0. Meanwhile, Yoshi falling to Yan by 2-0 means that our next fight is going to be a pretty spectacular one. It will be Yam versus Raziel. Our top 4 consist of the individuals who have made it into top 3s before. But the stakes are pretty high for these two. Yam, desperate to make their mark. They were able to finish top 3 last time out, but they just missed out on the final. Now, they want to be able to book their ticket into it, and Raziel, well, they're going to be determined to do one better. I mean, I say last time out, Yam made it into top 3 in the 73rd Cup, wasn't able to make it last time out. It was Raziel who was able to take out Riffa in the Underground final, lest we forget, to book their ticket into Grand. So, they both know the stakes at play here. It's going to be a very special moment here. One will make the podium, one will not. It's going to be incredibly hard to pick between these two because, again, they're pretty evenly matched, it must be said. Like I said, Yam haven't made it to third place 6 times, made it to second twice. Meanwhile, Raziel has only been 1 and 1 so far. 1 third place, 1 second place. It would be a pretty special moment for Raziel if they were able to find a way back into Underground final. It would be pretty cool. But for Yam, they're inching closer to those double digits on the stat sheets. You can bet that they'll be bringing their A game here. And here we go once again. Kid Cobra on the left hand side of your screen is Raziel. Meanwhile, Yam once again with the Min Min. And both are going to play with our wonderful bubbly gloves. We've got 1 Gush and 1 Blob. You like to see this coming on out. Obviously, their secondary arms alongside it really do differentiate themselves from this playstyle. 1 coming in with the Tri-Blast, which is Raziel. 1 coming in with the Roaster, which is Yam. And so far, between the two, well, 1 will basically give you that screen block, as you saw on Yam's side of the screen. Meanwhile, for Raziel, you can see that Poison Stack. It just slows and stutters just a little bit and deals in that chip damage as well. Both going for the rushes, both missing their respective rushes. And that Gusher, as a reminder, can stack up to 3 chips. The Raziel will be wanting to do everything they can to avoid those. And again, just the grabs and the punches from these are just unpredictable at the best of times. When both Kabans are coming out with it, it's just anyone's guess on who gets the actual hit in. And it's going to be Yam who gets pegged down by Raziel once again. Raziel into critical. Yam just past the halfway mark, goes for the rush to try and end this point, but it's not going to happen on this occasion. Manages to charge the Gusher up. Yeah, on top of all of that, the Gusher is on the Dragon Arm, which just makes it that even just harder to even fight around. Raziel's actually going to go for the rush. Going to get some decent damage with it. That's 350. Is that enough for the lead? It is enough for the lead. That came out of absolutely nowhere for Yam. Yam did not see that coming. Raziel took the risk and it absolutely paid off. And it means that Raziel steals a point out of literally nowhere. Yam gets caught on the back foot, quickly manages to hit a trade of their own. Again, that explosion from the Tri-Blast, it deals the damage with the bolts and then explodes in your face. Nothing you could do about it. And the grab as well from Raziel. Brave going for those from long range, but hey, it works. Yam already down past the halfway mark. Raziel has managed to find that momentum and continuing to carry it on forward. Yam stuck in the hot pocket finally starts to try and free themselves, but again, this absolute onslaught from Raziel trying to keep them down there. Finally, they bring it back into the central area, but again, look at the health deficit already. Another explosion tag from that Tri-Blast sends Yam into critical. The Gusher is just a little too far away to be able to hit its target. And Raziel knows that with 40 seconds to go, Yam has to do all of the work here. Arm broken and destroyed. Yam goes for the rush, doesn't get it, and that was always going to be a free rush hit for Raziel, who takes the 2-0, who takes the lead in a very important best of 3. Yam will be a little annoyed on how that first point ended. They must have thought they had it, and then just like that, it turns in an instant. And Raziel, like I said, rolled the dice, went all in with that rush, and it absolutely found the mark, so... Very well played from Raziel. These two individuals incredibly close in that second point. Raziel just took the opening and just went with it, so... We'll see what happens going into match number 2. Remember, this is a best of 3. It's the last one of the stream before we hit into best of 5 territory only. And Raziel looks to Temple Ground. And to see if they can bring this back again. No Gusher from Yam this time. In fact, no Min Min from Yam this time. We got our wonderful bouncy friend. It's Lollipop who comes in with the Tri-Blast and the Scorpia. So sticking with the poison theme, in fact, the Scorpia does have 2 ways of attacking. So does the Virtue that we saw earlier. I didn't really get the chance to talk about it at that point. But yeah, you'll see the Scorpion scuttle along the ground, or it'll fly like a frisbee. And again, that poison stack, Raziel does not want anything to do with it. Consistently flinging out that popper, trying to make sure that Yam does not get that going in the slightest. The Tri-Blast again, with those 3 horizontal bolts, does cover a lot of ground against the Cobra, who does like to slip and slide and be an absolute menace in terms of being hit. The Blob not going to deal damage on this occasion, just bounces off the shield. And Lola, again, one of those more unique characters where they can have the shield up and then still move around with it. And that's why you have slope stages like Temple Grounds, which kind of actually helps with the acceleration of that walk. But I'll tell you right now, 200 damage from that rush ain't bad at all. But Raziel pinned into this corner. That's not where they want to be. That's a lot more damage coming up on their side of things. 340 with all 3 stacks of that poison deployed. And look at how quickly it rinses on down. And Yam, much more comfortable here, takes that first point. And determined to take this all the way to match 3. Raziel again coming back out with that blob, determined to make this work. Both now with the Tri-Blast on hand. And Yam knowing full well that if they could just pin Raziel down, much like how they did in that last matchup, they may still yet make a set out of this. Tags in with the poison as well, both with rush set and ready to be deployed. And again, they're both just ebbing and flowing between all these bolt hits, but it's going to be Yam who does the juggle once again. 380 stacks in with a point of 2. Gets caught by at least 1 blob, make that 2 blobs in a row, just forces them back that little bit more, and another explosion. And Raziel, despite being into critical first, has really brought this health deficit straight back down. They do have rush at their disposal, and you can probably bet that they're looking for a little bit more damage. Gets the explosion, but cannot get anything else from that. They send Yam into the corner, but unfortunately they cannot get the proper juggle they were after. They don't get the explosion either. They both enter critical condition, and whilst Yam does go underneath the half that mark, they do have the rush. And Raziel, in thinking the rush was coming, falls to the grab bait, and it's gonna be Yam who ties this set up 1 apiece. Goodness me, it's as close as you can have. It just continues to go back and forth between these two. There's no guess what will happen from here on in. Remember, the winner of this will take on Ritha in the Underground final. For Raziel, it will be a chance to redeem themselves from earlier. For Yam, it will be a chance to see what they can do against Ritha. Nobody knows how this is going to play out. But I'll tell you right now, it's It's going to be pretty interesting of that. There will be no doubt. Raziel is set and ready to go. So is Yam. We are going to see both of the counter stages. We saw Ninja College earlier. We now get Via Dolls into the equation. Lola Pop's home turf. Can Yam win it where it matters most? Or will Raziel be able to book their ticket into top 3 for only the 3rd ever time? Well, we'll soon find out as Raziel goes for a very interesting combination. Double Fun Chuck. So all of the chucks, all of the stun. I guess you could say it's a fun house. A whole lot of fun and prizes most certainly to be won. And their rush is all set and ready to go for Raziel. Yam not quite there at the moment with the Popper and the Scorpion. They are doing more damage to Raziel, but again, just the fact that they can throw out the chucks so quickly, it'll bounce off the shield, chip damage and nothing more. It does break in the end, and to be fair, Yam pretty much had rush set and ready to go, so you may as well just keep them pinned there, but at the same time, falling foul to 295 damage means that it's Yam who's in the driver's seat as it stands. Raziel trying to get back into that center stage, but so far Yam is having nothing to do with it. Again, the chucks just bounce off that shield just temporarily. Yam knowing full well they're only one more hit away from getting themselves onto set point. Again, taken down by another little chuck hit. Raziel might be a chuckster, but Yam is absolutely not falling foul of any of these hits. They've been pinned in the hot pocket, and finally this onslaught is starting to tag themselves in. That's another stun, that's a rush, and don't believe Raziel has done this again. Raziel has just pinned Yam into the corner, spam chucks, and my goodness, Yam could not do anything in that situation, and it means that it's Raziel, despite being behind for most of that point, leads and has set point on their side of the field, and now it's Raziel who might get stuck in this pocket if they're not too careful. 200, 300, 335 damage onto Raziel from that rush, the Scorpion and the Sparky doing exactly what they need to do as Raziel not switching out from these chucks, gets the grab hit, punches on down for 170, puts Yam back into that central area, and Raziel still in that pocket, needs to get out of that corner, and slowly begins to do so, but again, they don't want to give up too much space. Yam goes for the wayward Sparky hit, doesn't get it, gets caught in the corner, bounced, tries to keep bouncing out of there, but unfortunately got stuck in the one corner that they could not bounce away from. And as a result, takes 230 damage in the midst of it all. They do have rush back and ready to go, and now it's Raziel who is now forced into this corner. And Yam knows full well they were able to get the rush out of this last time round, and here it comes again. Big ol' damage oncoming, 345 with a stack of 1 poison. Trying to go for I don't know if it was a grab from Yam or from Raziel, but in either case, Raziel gonna go all in with the rush again. Are you kidding me? 18 seconds on the clock. Both were into critical. Again, an all-in move from Raziel, which is undone instantly by a charged up Sparky. 1-1 in the set. 1-1 in the match. Who will face Riffa in Underground Final? Honestly, no one knows at this stage. The double chuck strat is out. We now have the tri-bolt coming on in. Yam has the Scorpion and the Sparky still under contention, and the arm weak already on the right-hand side. And Raziel very nearly at rush capacity already. They charge up the rush so quickly, don't they? And in fact, they're going to go all in with the aggression and score big time. 255 damage, tries to get the wake-up grab, but yeah, not going to give them the satisfaction of that this time around. There's still plenty of time left in this matchup, and Yam does have rush set and ready to go, but they just can't seem to get close enough. Caught again by another wayward hit from Raziel past the halfway mark. And Yam is just absorbing so much damage at this stage. Look, Raziel already has another rush set and ready to go, and Yam has not got themselves into a position to even start with their own. And it could not even be seen at this point if it goes the way that it may yet do. Arm weak on the right-hand side of the field. Raziel just keeps this onslaught going, goes for the rush, has the counter rush. Yam blocks it on out and actually beautifully moves out of the way, scores with a rush of their own, punches through the grab, and the second grab follow-up as well. Raziel relinquishes themselves of that poison stack, but very well played and very patiently played from Yam, but they're running out of time. Sparky does find a tip, but Raziel is still past the halfway mark. 12 seconds left on the clock. Yam finds themselves another Scorpio hit, and this is slowly coming back into contention here. A Sparky hit again. They are neck and neck on this. This rush is going to come out. Who gets the glow? It's Raziel who wins. Goodness me! Raziel hold on by the skin of their teeth. That could have gone either way. How close do you want your underground semis? That was a fight worthy of any final. But my goodness me, it's Raziel who wins by literal pixels. 2 points to 1. Oh my god. Wow. Just wow. What more can you say about that entire fight? I'm sad that isn't best of 5. Yoshi, me too. Like I said, worthy of any final. Hands down, that fight. But it wasn't a final. It was to decide who makes it to the podium. And after a fight like that, it hurts that Yam isn't on the podium. Or isn't guaranteed a podium position. But them's the breaks. That is how it be. And instead it will be Raziel to once again take on Riffa. And it is top 3 time, my friends. It is time for the underground final. These are the podium positions. Who will finish 3rd? Who will book their ticket into grand final? At this stage, it's honestly hard to tell. Like, you seriously think about it at this stage. Last time out, Raziel was able to do the upset and take Riffa out. Nobody saw that coming. Riffa was able to get the better of Raziel earlier today with a 2-1 semi-final victory. Now we go into a best of 5. And, well, Raziel has to do this the hard way again. Raziel on the left-hand side of your screen coming in with the Kid Cobra. Riffa on the right-hand side of your screen coming in as Twin Tail. Blob and Tribolt versus, well, I tell you, but I have to wait for that ink to go away. It's the Tribolt and the Chiller. So both rocking in our horizontal stuns, but crucially Raziel continues to come in with that Blob, and Riffa knowing full well they're going to have to use every bit of that Actress Aura and the movement that Twin Tail does have on their side to be able to even out that bouncy Blob, especially combined with the very agile nature that is the Cobra. And so far, 2 successful chill hits in a row. We're going to keep Raziel at bay, and another quick little 1-2 flurry as well. Quickly drops that health back down to an even footing for both players. Rush set and ready to go. It's really a question of whether or not Raziel can make it 2 for 2 in terms of underground final victories against Riffa. The Bolt is going to find its mark, and Raziel again has the health lead, but Riffa quickly fires back with one of their own. Neither player going for the rush, but Riffa, the grab just does not make it in time, and Raziel unfortunately gets completely caught in with that grab. And just like that, it is Riffa's to lose as they book the first point. And so, Blob and Tribolt continue to be the thing as Riffa goes for 2 chillers. So, 1 chiller is good enough. Well, 2 is even better in terms of Riffa's point of view. They do indeed get another successful hit in there, but the arm is broken on the left-hand side, and Raziel, with that flurry, finally finds the point of damage they were looking for. Nothing that Riffa could really do about it on that occasion. Again, just quickly gets that shield up. This is the experience that you have to consistently play up into. Riffa has won so many competitions at this stage that you know you have to bring your absolute A-game to be able to best them regardless of which fighter Riffa decides to pick. Caught in the air by the Tribolt once again, and Raziel knowing full well they cannot afford to get caught by another one of Riffa's rushes. The Actress Aura did come up, but Riffa not able to do anything about it this time around, just has to take the grab. One nice big old snaky hook, manages to get themselves a chiller hit, and again just baiting on out, gets the grab, and sends Raziel straight back down, and never mind that, they take the lead with that as well. Chiller hits are starting to come thick and fast, but so far Raziel is trying to keep themselves in there. The rush will come out, and it will connect. Will that be KO? It's not quite KO, 260 damage, but one more hit from anything will seal it for Riffa, and Raziel, well, they'll know this, they have to go in. And they do indeed get themselves a tri-bolt hit. That puts Riffa into critical. 10 seconds on the clock. Another successful tri-bolt hit, but it's not enough to take the lead. They have to get another successful hit in. Baits Riffa into the corner. It's chip damage and it's nothing more. Is that enough for the lead? It's not enough for the lead. It's Pixels again that decide the final point of a matchup. But it doesn't go Raziel's way this time. It goes Riffa's way by 2 points to 0. So winner's final starts in Riffa's advantage. 1-0 already. And Raziel has it all to do if they want to be able to get themselves back into the grand final. Remember that it was their first time making it that far ever in Challenge Cup history last time out. And to do it by beating Riffa at that stage, that's already a hard enough feat in and of itself. The fact that they have to try and do it a second time in back-to-back tournaments, it's never easy. It's never going to be easy, and Riffa is going to make it as hard as physically possible as we bring in Dr. Coil. The unstoppable Dr. Coil. All decked out in red. It's going to be not one, not two, but what is essentially going to be triple toaster for Riffa. As remember, that coiled ability means that charges up the glove on either side at random. And because you're bringing in double toaster, it means you are essentially packing in 3 of those gloves permanently. Raziel knowing full well they have to make full use of the Tri-Blast and the nade to be able to dethrone Riffa in this state. The Unweak on the right hand side, but Riffa, well, it's just going to just shrug that off. The pair of them will charge up rush super quick, especially when they're out of gloves that Riffa will be flinging on out, which is why you just see Riffa just continue to just hover in the air, float back on down, just throw in punch after punch, knowing full well they have the potential to just charge it straight back up. Even if they whiff a rush, they don't whiff that rush, they hit every single bit of it and then some, and I are in complete control of this matchup. There is not a character that Riffa can't win with. And well, when you play as Coil, it's always going to be one of those things where, especially in the hands of a very experienced, very veteran player, it's never going to go well for you on the opposing side of it. And Riffa is just not relenting anything here. They are not giving up a bit of space. Just rushes through another exchange of Raziel, pins them pretty much back into the corner, already into critical for Raziel. And well, at this stage, I think it's safe to say it's Riffa's point to lose. They do get caught by the popper, which does cover a fair amount of ground at AoE, and Raziel will need to use every bit of that to try and find a way through. But again, Riffa has gloves that will just outpunch it in every sense of the word, and that is going to be the toaster hit that secures it for Riffa. And they are not going to allow lightning to strike twice. They lead this set by 2 points to 0. Well, Raziel has it all to do. Riffa as Coil was just filthy to watch, not going to lie. And they have a 2-point lead as they switch to Max Brass. And Riffa at this stage, I feel like, is just flexing. Raziel needs to stop this momentum that Riffa has, and they need to stop it as soon as physically possible. 2-0 lead in the best of 5. Raziel comes back in with the blow up and the tri-blast. And it's going to be Riffa who just completely takes Raziel straight down and out of the equation. Nade gonna land square and true. The roaster is gonna be on full form as well. They do get themselves a little bit of vision robbed from them for the time being from that blow, but again Riffa just shrugs it off, both straight back on up, and Max Brass is just again just like Coil, just not giving Raziel the space to really breathe at this stage. Just all power and all glory. Riffa is just, what more can you say about the experienced Riffa? Rush is going to come out, catches Raziel off guard. That will be a KO. That's 275 damage. And that is set point. That is set point. And a chance to add a number to an already alarmingly ridiculous stat. Raziel does manage to get the first point of damage at the very least. The nade and the roaster does come up for Riffa as they start to get slowly tagged back on down. But again, it's done enough to knock Max Brass down in their bulked up space. You have to really hit hard. You have to hit it with that 1-2 and maybe a grab to actually get Max Brass off his feet. Again, another flourish straight through Raziel's defense. Nothing that they could do about it. The pillar at least gives them some form of support. The Riffa just has this match at least somewhat under control. The blob just about missing now. And again, another wayward grab. Catches Raziel in midair. Nothing that they could do about it. And they can't get the rush either. Full on denied into critical. Brass has rush set and ready to go. Doubles on back. Nails it. Hits it. It's a full 3-0 sweep. And for the 42nd time, Riffa is in the grand final. Yes, you heard that stat right. 75 cups, 42 of those, Riffa has been in the grand final. And so, we prepare ourselves for the grand final. For Iceman, this is the 20th time they've appeared in the grand final. For Riffa, this is the 42nd time they've appeared in the grand final. It is unprecedented between these two individuals, and honestly, I guess it was academic that it came down to these two individuals. The Riffa Revolution, being led by Dr. Coil in this exchange, will take on the winner of the winners final, which was Iceman in our first best of 5 of the grand final. Remember, all Iceman needs to do is win one of them. Riffa will have to win 2 in a back-to-back series if they wish to take themselves yet another crown in this cup. Riffa gonna bait out Iceman and actually gets the better of the exchange. Goes in with the rush as well. Just glides comfortably into Iceman's face. Takes them down past the halfway mark. And, well, Riffa is just already coasting. Iceman finally does get a sparky hit and the Ice Dragon as a follow-up. So, not fully out of this yet. They've had plenty of time to practice against the Coil and watch a whole lot of footage of other players do wonderful things with this character. But it is going to be big time rush from the big time dragon. It is going to give Iceman the first point of this first match. Riffa going to drop one of those toasters for a Tri-Blast, which is going to give Iceman that little bit of extra thing to dodge around. What's worse than 3 horizontal bolts? Well, 6 horizontal bolts if the charge does go up for that, and you can see it there. And just immediately just fire on out. Riffa not going to wait around, just fires it on in, breaks the pillar as a result. And again, well, it's such a hard target to hit at the best of times. You can just see Iceman just wailing on in, doing everything in their power to keep Riffa at bay, but Riffa's bolts will catch up to you at the worst of times. Now it's going to be a rush through the Sparky. Iceman does get away with it and just shields himself behind the pillar as well to make sure that no other damage gets done there. Another quick little Ice Dragon hit. It's going to pop them right back down the order. Sparky just about missing this time around, and Iceman has to just bide their time here and does so beautifully. Another Sparky hit sends Riffa through the last of the open pillars. And just like that, Riffa already into critical does find themselves another little bolt hit, but Iceman playing from range is absolutely fine with this. 30 seconds left to go. They have the health advantage. Another tag with the Dragon. Riffa almost with rush available. Manages to take the chip damage. Nothing else than that. Iceman knows full well they cannot afford to take anything from this rush. Another 1-2 explosion for Riffa with 15 seconds left on the clock. Another tag brings Riffa on the cusp of critical. But thankfully, the Sparky on Wake Up will deny Riffa the chance to go in for an equalizer. And Iceman keeping that build alive. They lead the grand finals by 1-0. So, what worked in the underground final for Riffa has not worked in the grand final so far. Iceman, that time away does seem to be coming back on up. And now Riffa will switch on over to Twintel. See if they can find a way of countering Iceman's build at this stage. We know full well how devastating they are with the Ice Dragon at their disposal and that Sparky for good measure. And now into Spawn Room we go. I believe that now we've seen every stage on stream today, both starter and counter picks alike. And Riffa starts incredibly strong, immediately pitting Iceman against the ropes. And my goodness me, Riffa, this is unbelievably filthy. Iceman trying to throw anything to slow Riffa down here. Finally get the dragon hit, so there will not be a perfect against them at this time of asking. But goodness me, Iceman already down on the cusp of critical. Riffa had such an amazing start there. And that's what you get when you go to sparring ring. No gimmicks, nothing to hide around. It's just a full-on boxing ring. And Iceman one hit away from going down. Riffa knowing full well that this is absolutely in their advantage. Just pokes on in with the Thunderbird and gives themselves a point back in on this. Riffa's playstyle absolutely favouring sparring ring, and it shows, especially with Twintel just completely outboxing Iceman at every stretch of the imagination. Iceman trying to back on up, bringing in the Chakram and that Sparky, but again just consistently wailed on down. Goes for the rush. Riffa will take chip damage, nothing more than that. And again, no perfects for Riffa on this occasion either, but Iceman does get around the rush attempt of their own. Again, caught by the Thunderbird before they can even get into an advantageous position. And Riffa maintains the health lead, just over a minute left to go in this matchup. Iceman already into critical. And this is why that experience from Riffa just continues to tie them over. Weak on the left hand side for Iceman. And that is going to be another very quick KO. Just like that, the grand finals is all tied up. two of the best players you've seen in the European scene, doing their absolute best to entertain you all as we go one apiece in the grand final. River looking to win their 26th cup, Iceman looking to win their 14th. And as we go back to Temple Grounds, we're going to see a double switch from the pair of them. Brass comes out for Riffa, Ribbon Girl comes out for Iceman. It'll be Roaster and Shakram versus the Nade and the Siki as we get ourselves geared up for match number 3. Who is going to put themselves on set point, on championship potential point? Well, we're going to find out. That very agile, very quick and nimble Ribbon Girl already trying to just put so much distance between themselves and Brass, that Siki and the Nade. Very much big time risk for Iceman to really go in with these. Meanwhile, River just plays it cool with the Roaster and the Shakram. And it is going to be that double 1-2 explosive combo from Iceman that does get the pick first, tries to go for the rush, but nothing from that at all. Ziki really only does proper damage if it hits, nothing really for the chip damage at all. And if that has a rush of their own, they are behind in terms of health, but that can very quickly change with Max Brass, especially when they do hit that critical stage. It's never over for Brass until the match is actually over. 30 seconds left on the clock, and Iceman does drop past the halfway mark. Riffa maintaining their health for the time being, goes for the rush, hits the pillar first and foremost, which is enough time for Iceman to get the shield up and catches in with the Siki. Long range grab has enough time to land, and just like that, the health lead turns again. 10 seconds left on the clock. Iceman gets tagged once again, pinned into the corner, and Riffa knows full well this is their point to lose. Connected by the Siki. Can Iceman get a last second grab? They cannot. And it's going to be Riffa who takes the first point of this third match. Iceman could not make it work this time around, but they're going to stay with the Siki and the Nade. Meanwhile, Riffa, the Roaster and the Shakram, so neither player wanting to drop their respective arms from that first point, and I think Iceman knows that they can do it. But again, when you get that self-destruct on the Siki, it's never great for you, and again, Riffa gets the shield up, and Iceman again cannot get anything with the Siki on that rush, and that's where most of the damage comes from in terms of that rush capacity for Iceman. And it does get themselves a grab and just swing Brass to the other side of the stage, but Riffa gonna keep that central ground again, wailed on out by the Nade, and Iceman is making sure that Riffa stays as far away from them as possible with these exchange. Again, another explosion tag continuing to happen over and over and over again. The Siki finally does land. Now pressure just unrelenting from Iceman. Riffa kind of stuck at the moment. Every single time they try to go forward, they go backwards. Finally, the rush does hit. 315 damage. Pops Iceman into the corner, who tries to jump their way out of it. And they know full well that they're a hard enough target to hit at the best of times. Chip damage again. Nothing more than that for Iceman. Catches with the Siki explosion. Gets themselves a grab, but this is where Riffa becomes their most dangerous. Although, having said that, they got tagged by the Siki, and we won't get to see critical Brass at all in that point. The second they woke up, they walked straight into a Siki explosion, and that was a free grab for Iceman as a result. And that is now going to take us to the third matchup. Again, one apiece in the set, one apiece in the match. This to take the lead of a very important point. It's going to be Riffa who pokes on in with the rush first. Gets every bit of it. 305 damage. Tries to pin Iceman into the corner, but they have to be careful of that Siki. They know full well Iceman will try and just yoink that at them. But it's going to be the self-destruct for Iceman. That means more damage has gone against them. You see Riffa every single time they have to throw out the arm to deflect that Siki, because otherwise if it goes through, it's going to be damage onto them. Although, having said that, the health lead for them is big at this time. Again, Iceman caught in mid-air by the Shakram that puts them into critical condition. Riffa has rush set and ready to go, and they are determined to lead this grand final set. and doing everything possible for them to do so. The last thing Iceman wants to do is give Riffa the advantage going into the next matchup. Siki does hit though, which means they are both in KO range of their respective rushes, but Iceman has not been able to hit anything of theirs. Drops straight in front of Riffa, and that will be the KO. Riffa takes the lead of the grand final by 2 points to 1. So, Riffa leads the grand final by 2 points to 1. Remember, Riffa had to fight through the underground bracket to get this far. So if Riffa does beat Iceman in another point, they'll have to do it all again in the bracket reset. Iceman with Ribbon Girl, Nade and the Siki again coming on out for them. Or is it? No, it's not. It's going to be the Tri-Blast coming on out as Riffa comes in with the Twin Tail. So swapping on out to another fighter, this time with the Tri-Bolt and the Thunderbird. They're trying to go for an electric route of their own with this one. The arm weak on the right-hand side, and Iceman is not going to give them the chance at all to get back into the swing of things. Finally, they will get a little bit of damage down. Remember that Nade and the Tri-Blast are both explosive arms, so they can be disarmed. Riffa can force the damage to go against Iceman if they are not careful. But it is going to be big time rush, big time damage, 370 for Iceman, who sticks in that central area and is determined to bring Riffa down. We've seen it happen throughout the past 2 tournaments. It's been Alistair who took out Riffa. It was then Raziel who took out Riffa in the underground from last time out. And now Iceman wants to make it 3 consecutive defeats for Riffa when it matters the most. So far, they're starting as they mean to go on, but unfortunately caught again by that Tri-Bolt. Another little stun against them. Riffa finally drops on down and make that another drop down as well. The Chiller finally does ping on through, and Iceman says, you know, I'm rushing straight through that. 300 damage. I think Riffa must have thought that was not going to happen. Unfortunately, it did. Played straight into Iceman's cards and puts them past and under the halfway mark. Iceman determined to tie this set up almost immediately. And Riffa does go for the rush from a very high vantage point. 290 keeps themselves in the matchup, but they've got a lot of damage to dish out. There's a bit more of it. Again, caught by another Wayward Bolt. The Actrosaur slows things down a little bit, but Iceman knows full well they just need another successful hit, and they'll absolutely take this, but both now in critical condition. Here comes the rush from Iceman, but it's against the shield. Chip damage, nothing more than that. Riffa could not get anything on the counter volley, and it's all going to come down to who gets the most important hit of all. Iceman could tie the set up. Riffa could keep the match going. They go for the rush, but it's not going to hit. In fact, nothing hits. Iceman gets around with Ribbon Girl's ability, and that is that. It is 2-2 in grand finals. So, here we go. It's as simple as this. This match determines where we go from here. If Iceman wins, the tournament is over. And Iceman wins their 14th cup. And officially takes second place. The reason why I say officially is because currently they are tied with Yada with 13 cup wins apiece. Winning this would be their 14th, and it would put them on second place on their own, officially. If Riffa wins, we do it all again. Sparring ring. Kid Cobra for Riffa. Ribbon Girl for Iceman. Clapback and Popper versus Toaster and Tri-Blast. We saw how much Riffa dominated on this stage earlier. But that was with Twintel. Can they do the same with Kid Cobra? Well, Iceman is gonna be the first to be knocked down. Make that 2 successful knockdowns in a row now. Riffa again, just with the clapback and the popper, just able to come out with a quick firing arm, and then also have that shield on hand, just that extra shield to keep themselves protected. Iceman doesn't really have a curved arm, so they have to hope that the direct path finds its way past the clapback, and so far they're keeping themselves in equal footing for the time being, both with rush set and ready to go. Riffa quickly backs on up, allows the Tri-Blast to get repelled, and again gives Iceman that little bit more to dodge around, but this is Ribbon Girl we're talking about. She should be able to dodge it. And immediately, wise decision from Iceman, rushes straight through the clapback and immediately doubles on back, not allowing Riffa to get themselves any kind of a vantage point. Does manage to tag in with the popper. Again, lightweight, quick, and incredibly easy to get caught by, and Iceman just like that falls into critical condition. Riffa with rush set and ready to go, but they may not even need it, and they won't. They take the rush into the next point. Riffa gets the first point. It is set point. It is reset point for Riffa. The popper immediately hits Iceman, not how they would like to start it, and the arm weak as well. Finally manages to slow themselves down a little bit with a nice little toasty hit onto Riffa. Just gives themselves a chance to get that damage away. Riffa again, just such a slippery, slidery custom, especially as Kid Cobra took themselves into the corner. Lets Iceman do their wonderful double jump dance. Again, weakens the arm on the right hand side. They want more history on their side. They want to get themselves back on top of the pile. That is going to be another successful knockdown for Iceman at the very least. It keeps themselves in this match. Goes for the rush. Gets the rush. Big time damage coming. 360. It knocks Riffa down into critical with a massive health lead, but we know it can all so quickly change. Chip damage. Nothing more than that. And Iceman gets one a heck of a risk. Rolls the dice and gets away with it. How about that for a poke through the rush? They got it at the... Brilliant call. It's reset point for Riffa. It's championship point for Iceman. This could go either way, and crucially it's Iceman who gets the first punch in this matchup. They have a massive amount of confidence here as the clapback comes up, rebounds the toaster, but it's not going to help them too much. It does drop them down. Finally they'll get a hit against Iceman in the same breath. And it's going to be Iceman with the rush advantage. They're making Riffa think about it. They're trying to figure out a way to bait that attempt out of them. They also know that Riffa won't be too far away from a rush of their own, both on very similar health margins here. Iceman wants to put this away. Riffa does not want to take no for an answer. Tri-Blast finally finds a way through the clapback and scores when it needs the most. But again, the rebound hits are just really troubling Iceman at this stage. 50 seconds left on the clock. No further damage, but the popper in its charged up state sends Iceman flying. Both go for the rush. Iceman got a little bit of it, but Riffa gets the rest of it. And Iceman is in critical condition. Pretty much a hit from anything will give Riffa that reset point. They were looking for another popper hit. They will have to do it one more time. They do get it. It's reset time, everybody. We're going to do the best of 5 all over again because Riffa refuses to take no for an answer. 3-2 in the grand final. We go once more with feeling. Now, it should be worth noting that for whatever reason, the round text thing that I was given by our wonderful production team didn't actually have a grand finals reset. So believe me when I tell you, this is the reset, and it is Riffa versus Iceman once again for the third best of 5 today. Riff on the left hand side of the screen, starting off with Coil with, well, what is essentially triple toaster. Iceman back in with Min Min, gets themselves the chill, gets themselves the spark, and gets themselves the grab as well. Swinging straight back on down. Iceman is taking no prisoners. They are not happy to see this go to a reset bracket after all the hard work they did in winners final, after all the work they put in into the previous matchup. And now they have to find a way of bringing Ripper back down to earth, and they are currently doing so in style. Hanging them down, another double break. And just like that, Ripper is very much in the thick of things here. Rush is going to bounce off the shield and do no further damage. The grab, unfortunately, missing from Iceman as Coil floated back on down to the ground. But it doesn't matter in the slightest. Iceman will start with the initiative. So here we go again. Ripper just gliding up onto the far side. Finally pokes on through with the bolt. Full on change of arms for Ripper. The Tri-Blast and the Funchuck coming on out. But again, no change from Iceman. Why would you? Sparky and Ice Dragon have been working well so far. But now Ripper starts to put that pressure on. They don't want Iceman to be taking that first point away, having just forced the reset. And again, wailing on in, straight into the middle. The Dragon does manage to get deployed in time. No rush for Ripper at all. But they are still doing damage the hard way anyway. So Iceman, again, needs to pick their times very carefully here. They've got to have that Sparky hit, or at least find a point where Ripper is fully committed before they can find a way of flinging that rush in and getting the maximum out of it. Because Ripper already has another one charged up and set. Because that is just the ferocity that Coil possesses. And Iceman knows full well they're going to have a lot of this to deal with now. Here comes another rush. The Chuck will hit. Big time damage on board. 285. It pops Iceman down into critical. Finally, they get to slow Coil down a little bit. And they get the spark hit. A follow-up spark hit as well. And Iceman knows if they can land the rush, that would be brilliant. And they may have a chance to do exactly that. They do have a chance to do exactly that. Nothing that Ripper can do about it. And that will be Iceman who starts the reset with the first point. So, Iceman starts again as they mean to go on. They took the first point last time round. They take the first point this time round as well. Determined to get this grand final to go their way. And remember how all of this played out initially. Iceman was able to take Ripper up by 3 points to 1 in winners final, losing that grand final initially to Ripper 3-2, and now winning that first point in the reset. They are determined to make sure that Ripper cannot take any further advantage from this and gets the chill right off the get-go with our Sparky Ice Dragon usual combination. Ripper coming in with Twin Tail, Thunderbird and Tribolt is the name of the game as we hop on into Buster Beach. And now Iceman pinned into the hot pocket, not where you want to be, quickly rotates out of that. Using that Ice Dragon a lot closer than I would have thought that they would do. Finally gets a little bit of a poke with that spark, and I think Ripper knows full well that that is going to be what they have to play off of. And finally gets the rush through. 315, a lot more comfortable with this map and fighter combination, although it does get caught with the chill and sent straight back on down into the pockets of their own accord. But again, so much devastation from that stun. That is why you always have to be so incredibly careful of arms like the Tribolt. If it gets the stun, you know a player like Ripper will be primed to follow on in with that grab. And that is how they get themselves the point on the board. But can they tie the setup? That will be the big question as Iceman runs straight through them again. Another Sparky hit. And Ripper has to be so careful of, especially on that Dragon Arm. Bigger their hitbox, the harder it can be to dodge Actress Aura and all. The Thunderbird finally comes through for a shot of their own. Riffa gets the grab combination as well. Almost with rush set and ready to go, and that's another successful shock. Committed with the bolts and not the rush, and now shields up for the rest of Iceman, although Iceman baits them out as a result. Get themselves a little bit of 55 damage, and crucially making sure that their arm was charged up, but not anymore, because another successful grab means that Riffa is in the driver's seat. They're just looking for any kind of commitment. That was what they were looking for. And just like in the previous final, it's all tied up again. Incredible battles that we are seeing from both of these individuals. Riffa determined to make absolute sure that nobody takes any further steps between them and their win ratio. I mean, if Iceman can win it, you know, not only did it give them 14, it starts to slowly close in the gap that Riffa has built up. But this is Riffa we're talking about. He never wants to see that gap be closed in on. He wants to make sure that he goes as far as possible. Heck, if he wins, he'll be literally... like, his gap will essentially just be ludicrous at this stage. And now we go to Ninja College, which is a map that Riffa does like to play on, it must be said. Like, this is normally a stage that you would see Riffa come in with the counter pick, but it's Iceman who's picked it. So we'll see if they can make Rip and Go work. Once again, the stun did come out against them, but crucially, Riffa was not able to get the grab that they were looking for. And now, Tri-Bolt and Thunderbird firing on away against that Tri-Blast. And the nade does get pegged down again, does Iceman, as they go into that lower side. But again, it can so easily change on a very vertical, heavy stage. The second one person gets knocked over, you just see the rotation come up almost incredibly quickly. Well, Ripper doesn't seem to mind playing from underneath, it seems. Goes onto the same level as Iceman, both with rush set and ready to be deployed. You can just see the balls just flying out from both players, and again, the explosions deal the damage and actually gets themselves a little bit of a mini juggle in the midst of it, and Iceman takes a nice tasty 310 damage onto Riffa's butt, who now is going to try and come straight back at them, although runs straight into another explosive bolt flurry, gets themselves the stun, gets themselves a grab, get themselves into critical condition on both sides of the field, and the self-destruct inadvertently saves Iceman's bacon. That was absolutely going to be a juggle into the rush, but the self-destruct happened just after it, just before it had happened, and it gave Iceman a chance to get away with it. They need to find any kind of damage to keep themselves in this matchup. They do find it, but they got 3 seconds to land one more, and Riffa will be fine. They get away with that. Just about. I swear the luck always seems to go Riffa's way just when you think it's starting to slowly side. Riffa finds a way of just hanging on in there. And it's just what he do, and another stun into grab combination. It's going to mean that Riffa has the health lead. Again, another full-on stop against Iceman, and the momentum is starting to just fully swing against the Ribbon Girl. And look at this, already on the cusp of critical, and Riffa has barely broken a sweat in this point. Another self-destruct against Iceman. Riffa gets the shield up, just waits it out, waits for Iceman, and now they could be a sitting duck. They're going to have to use every bit of awareness on their side of the field to make sure that Riffa does not take full advantage of this situation, and Riffa knows full they can't afford to be taking this much damage for free against Iceman. Goes for the rush, gets the rush. That won't do it though. It shuffles them to the right hand side. Iceman on literally 1 health, and Riffa just needs to find a hit from anything to give themselves the lead of this set. Iceman doing everything possible, tries the grab, can't find it. The nade isn't going to hit the Actrosaur, slows the blast just enough time for Riffa to move out of the way. The grab will connect, and Riffa leads the grand final reset by 2 points to 1. We went from staring down the barrel to Iceman finally winning after 13 cups to Riffa being on the horizon of winning a 26 cup. We're going back to Ninja College. Riffa is bringing out Coil again. Riffa has lost with Coil against Iceman both times so far that it has come in, both in the grand final and the reset. I wonder if Riffa has Ninja College in mind for this Coil strategy, and that is going to be, well, it looks like that is absolutely the answer. They just flung on in with Tri-Blast and Funchucks and have already broken the shield, but the Iceman gets away with it. The Hydra saves their butt for the time being. And that is a very good call for Iceman to bring in the vertical bolt instead of the horizontal, knowing full well that Riffa will be wanted to take full use of that additional height that they can get of Ninja College. So a very good call to switch into that. Still keep the Dragon because, you know, it's Iceman and Dragon just always works with Iceman no matter what they end up using. And the rush will be stopped once again by that Dragon Laser. But again, still taking so much damage in the early stages, and the Hydra 1, 2, and 3 finally tips Riffa on the cusp of critical. Iceman on that cusp as well. Gets caught with a big time grab, sent down to the underground. They gotta work their way back on up. They know full well another hit will likely take it away from them. But they have a rush of their own. They probably won't want to really use it at this stage. They need to do a little bit more damage to take this away. And that 1-2 chain from Coil is going to get the point where it matters most. It is championship point for Riffa. And Riffa comes in with the triple toaster that has always lost them a point against Iceman so far today. They're going to see if they can make it work this time around. And it's going to be a very aggressive playstyle for Riffa, but they know full well that Sparky was fully charged up. Now that it isn't, they will probably likely take this a little bit more aggressive than they already were. The Dragon just cannot get going. Finally, it does hit. It gives Iceman enough time to get the charge up. But again, immediately knocked down by the toaster. The last thing Iceman needed, and caught again in mid-air. And this is just infuriating for Iceman to go through another block. It's going to lead into a rush, 300 damage. Iceman into critical, and Riffa is just absolutely cleared up for, again, slowed down by the Dragon. It gives Iceman a chance to charge it straight back up, but they cannot afford to take another hit from these toasters because it's just wailing them in. It's winding them in. Finally, a Sparky hit does come round and gets the grab. They're going to have to do a lot more of that to be able to keep this going, and they absolutely do. Big time Sparky, big time grab. It puts Riffa on the cusp of critical. Iceman does have a rush set and ready to go, and Riffa won't be too far away from having theirs. They'll likely throw it out if they get a chance to, and that will do it. Iceman ties it up. It's still championship point for Riffa, but crucially for Iceman, they've brought it back beautifully. The triple toaster just does not work for Riffa, even when it does. It's not enough to get them the point that matters most. And now, Tri-Blast and Funchuck will go up against the Ice Dragon and that big time Sparky on that big time arm. It might be Riffa with the rush advantage, but it's Iceman with the consistency. Another Sparky hit into another grab. And that is going to be straight back to a level playing field. Again, another successful hit into the Dragon. But Riffa so quick on the follow-up, gets themselves the bolts in there, the double chucks. You hate to see those go straight up against your face, especially if they're charged up. Iceman hits the rush. Big time damage, 325. It sends Riffa into critical condition. The Dragon just misses this time round. Riffa slides on away just enough. Catches with the Tri-Blast. Iceman just above the halfway mark. Not gonna have anything charged up for the time being, and another Tri-Blast as Riffa begins to rail them back in, and Iceman just can't get out of this pocket. Finally, the Dragon gives themselves a little bit of a breather. They need one more hit to be able to take this all the way through, but Riffer's gonna rush. Riffer rushes big time in, 325 damage. One hit from anything will seal it, and it's the Tri-Blast that hits, and Riffer wins again. Riffer wins the 75th Challenge Cup, his 26th Challenge Cup ever. And for 42 grand finals in a row, it's 26 wins. And that is just an unbelievable stat. They now have the same amount of wins as both Iceman and Yada, who both have 13 each. And as we all know in our quick math heads, 13 plus 13 is 26. Riffer continues their absolute domination in Europe as spring season comes to an end. A fantastic fight from both sides of the field, but after a 3-2 grand final that was forced onto the reset thanks to Riffer's victory, it ends 3-1 for Riffer in the actual reset portion of the finale. So your bracket reads as follows: Riffer from Iceman, Raziel on third this time round, but still a third ever appearance in the top 3 for Raziel. Yam just missing out in 4th position on that podium. Commiserations to them, and commiserations to Yoshi, Inca, and Slacks. They did take part as well, but unfortunately they could not get towards that top 4 this time around, but still great to see them come on in. Thank you all so much for tuning on in, both as a player and as a viewer. Hopefully you have all had a lot of fun, and we get to do this all again in 2 weeks time for the 76th installment of the EU Arms Challenge Cup. But obviously on top of that, now prepare your butts to be, well, your butts have been given enough warning. This is the end of the spring season, so you know that there will be an invitational coming on up, which will consist of the top 8 players. Remember, the top 10 as a scoreboard season will be uploaded via at European_arms. That will be up on Twitter, and that will be shared into their Discord as well, which you can find in the description down below. All of our individual matches will be broadcast. I say broadcast, will be all saved and uploaded to our YouTube channel at EU Arms Competitive, and obviously you can watch all of the live shenanigans happening here at twitch.tv/EU_arms. Thank you all so much for tuning on in. Take good care of yourselves. I have been your girl, host and commentator DK Layla, and please remember the 3 very important things: that trans rights are human rights, that black lives do indeed matter, and to make sure you keep your drinks nice and topped up so that we can stay fighting fit and fighting fresh for as long as physically possible.